Welcome into the video, everybody. Today is a very important video because it is waiver wire time, and in this video I'm going to give you guys the players you need to be picking up off your waiver wire that could possibly move into your starting lineup and be an important trade piece, if anything. And you guys know me, I do not like to waste any sort of time in these videos. So the first player I'm going to cover here is Tyler Algier very briefly. For most people, he's not going to be available in your league, but for those that have smaller leagues or he is available on your waivers, he needs to be your first waiver wire priority. He split the backfield with Bijan 40 to 60. He took a little bit more of the goal line work. I don't expect him to keep that number of snaps, but he is a really valuable handcuff, and he did have 1,000 yards rushing last season. Another guy I'm quickly going to mention here is Sam Laporta. He's rostered in about 60% of leagues. But for those of you guys that do have him on your waivers, you do need to be picking him up. I will admit that I wasn't too high on him starting him in week 1. He is a rookie tight end after all, and I don't necessarily trust rookie tight ends an insane amount, but he did do good, and from what I've seen, he looks like he can be fantasy startable in the coming weeks, especially without Jameson Williams. So go pick him up if he's on your waivers as well. But if you do get any value from this video, make sure to like it and have your post notifications on so you don't miss these videos, because the waiver wire ones are the most important. Moving into another must add, the real must adds that are available in every single league is Kenneth Gainwell. And I've been saying this for a while. I have not trusted the Eagles backfield to produce. I haven't been drafting any of the guys in the Eagles backfield because I just didn't know how it was going to be split. I thought DeAndre Swift was going way too early, and it looks like all of that's coming to fruition because Kenneth Gainwell got a lot of usage. And I'm glad we decided to hold out on this backfield because Kenneth Gainwell seems to be the guy right now. Gainwell outsnapped every single running back in the backfield for the Eagles with 41 snaps for him, 19 for DeAndre Swift, and 8 for Boston Scott. On top of that, he's only rostered in 34% of leagues, so if this can continue, he's going to be a great candidate to get off the waivers. And one of the main reasons why I do like picking him up is because this isn't just a fluke blowout game where he just got a bunch of carries or one really long run. No, he got a lot of usage, and he stayed in for the majority of the game, winning and losing. He also saw a majority of the work on third downs, which is a really good sign as well. Now, I don't think DeAndre Swift will stay at this low of a snap count because 19 is pretty low with no third down snaps, not very much receiving. I mean, they signed him to a pretty big money deal for a reason. He's gonna be used. But this game proves a lot, and Kenneth Gainwell is going to be the number 2 or number 1 rushing back. Another running back to add to this must-add waiver video is Joshua Kelly, and this is another interesting one that nobody was really seeing coming. He was the clear RB2 in this offense. Now, obviously, he's not going to be fantasy startable, but he really did have a great performance, and he is probably the best premium handcuff right now in fantasy football. He saw 38 snaps and 16 carries on those snaps, and Austin Ekeler had 41 snaps with 16 carries as well. But I had to add him on this list, especially if you're rostering Austin Ekeler, because I mean, that handcuff is really just going to be premium as we've seen this week. But if Ekeler were to get injured, he would go into the exact same role that Austin Ekeler is in, taking that receiving and rushing work. There's really no backups behind him. For the next running back, we have to go through and add as quick as we can in the waivers, and I've been screaming this off of the rooftops for a very long time, is Chuba Hubbard. He's only rostered in 20% of leagues, which is pretty low, and you can find him in every single one of the leagues that you're in. But the real reason I do like him is because Miles Sanders was not a 3-down back. At least from week 1, this backfield is a lot closer in snaps than we thought. Miles Sanders had 44 snaps. Chuba Hubbard had 28. But it's not just the snaps in this game from the box score alone that really makes me like him as value. It's really when we look deeper into it. Someone could see this and just argue, well, Miles Sanders wasn't playing much because they were losing for a majority of the game and they needed to pass to keep the volume up. But to that, I say that the snaps that they gave Chuba were really valuable snaps. He dominated the third down snaps, actually getting 100% of them, and he had some receiving work as well. And another reason I've been saying to grab Chuba, and a reason you should get him off the waivers this week, because there's quite literally no competition in this backfield. It is Chuba, Miles Sanders, and Raheem Blackshear, who's not going to get any value or touches in this backfield. And we saw from week 1, he was a healthy scratch, did not touch the field at all. We've seen Chuba be efficient in years past. Now, he's not going to be startable unless Miles Sanders were to get injured. Now, he does have a pretty big injury history, but that's besides the point. He's proven to be a very valuable backup and another handcuff that we need to be looking at. Now, I do want to cover the Ravens backfield really quick in this video. Unfortunately, J.K. Dobbins has another leg injury. He tore his Achilles. You really hate to see it. He is so talented. But if I'm being honest, I think this might be the end of the road for J.K. Dobbins. He's had way too many injuries, and looking at the running back market right now, I think he's just not going to get re-signed, and I find it hard for another team to sign him just because of all these injuries, and they don't even want to sign Saquon Barkley anymore. But that's besides the point. This running back room is going to turn into a committee again with Gus Edwards and Justice Hill. I wouldn't use any of my fab or waiver priority to get one of these running backs. It's just not a valuable enough backfield. But speaking of a valuable backfield, Kyren Williams is a guy that you need to pick up on all platforms. Haymakers is not efficient. I've been saying this all offseason. He saw 22 carries and only finished with 29 yards on those carries. That is just, I'm sure you could get more yards than that watching this video. So you can't say Sean McVay doesn't trust him because he gave him the keys to 22 carries and did nothing with it. Kyren Williams saw 15 carries and a majority of the receiving and goal line work, And the Rams didn't even run away with this game. It was close, so that he wasn't getting garbage time snaps. We knew Cam Akers was never a receiving back. On top of this, he's averaged less than 1 target on his career. And again, that came to fruition here. Kyren Williams ran 80% of the routes out of this backfield. So it looks like he's cut a real portion out of this offense for himself, and he is another one of those premium handcuffs. I don't even know if you can call him a handcuff anymore because he could just end up getting a majority of these snaps every single week in and week out. On top of that, he's only rostered in 10% of leagues, so you should be getting him on the waivers easily every chance you can get. But keeping it on the Rams topic, Puka Nacua is another guy we need to be getting off waivers, and I cannot believe what happened this week. I mean, I guess I kind of can because I've been talking about Puka for a minute, but I would be lying to you if I said he was going to come out and get 100 receiving yards first game. Especially with Cooper Kupp being on IR, missing at least 4 games, indefinitely a must-add player. I mean, I just have to preface this by saying he's not going to keep up this production of 100 yards and 15 targets a game. That is just insane, but it shows his potential. He's only rostered in 6% of leagues, so if you do have the priority and end up grabbing him, you can always trade him as trade bait later with another high-value player. But he has definitely solidified himself as one of the top 3 wide receivers, even when Cooper Kupp does come back, so he's a good stash either way. But staying on brand with these wide receivers that we need to be picking up off the waivers, and a guy that has absolutely went nuclear this week is Jakobi Meyers. He put on a masterclass with 10 targets and just under 100 yards. I can't remember the last time we saw a performance like that from him, but that's not going to be hard to come by now. That 10 targets is amazing because the Raiders only threw 28 balls today. That is absolutely nothing. He is going into concussion protocol, but that shouldn't stop you from picking him up off of waivers, because if this dude is getting almost 50% of targets, that is insane, and he out-targeted Davante Adams. And if he can get 50% of the targets when they're passing under 30 times, when they get back to passing over 30 times like they regularly will, his targets are going to go up still. Now, I'm not saying that 10 targets and 100 yards a game is normal for him, because it's absolutely not. Again, it just shows the upside that he brings. But the truly special thing about Jakobi Meyers isn't just the 2 touchdowns that he scored, because that's more on the random side, but it's the fact that there is no 3rd, 4th, or 5th options to pass to in this offense. Hunter Renfrow only played 22% of the snaps and had 0 targets. There's no Darren Waller anymore, and there's nobody outside of Davante Adams to compete with targets about. They also just brought him in with a massive wide receiver contract over the offseason, and out of everybody that I've listed in this waiver video, he is probably going to be the most consistent point scorer every single week. So if you're looking for that kind of guy while everybody else is grabbing the Pukas, the Kyren Williams, he should be your guy. I also want to give you guys a good tight end option off the waivers as well if you're looking for that, because we know that the tight end pool is very, very small. Greg Dulcich got injured. Mark Andrews is out. Travis Kelce is out. So you might need to look for some higher upside guys later down the waiver list. And Hayden Hurst is that guy because he is looking like the true safety blanket for Bryce Young. He finished with 41 snaps played on the day, which is only behind the starting 3 wide receivers, obviously. But he severely outsnapped every single other tight end on this team, which was the one concern that we had coming into this game, because who was going to be the top tight end? They usually run 2-3 tight end sets, so there really is no true tight end 1, but there is now, it looks like. Another reason you should be adding him off your waivers is that Bryce Young threw 40 passes on the day, and Hayden Hurst got 7 targets. And if this is the kind of production we can expect from Bryce Young, Hayden Hurst is a very viable tight end starter. But that is going to finish off this video of the must-add waiver players. If you guys did get any kind of value from this, make sure to hit that like button, and I'll see you guys in the next video coming soon.